Hi Internet, welcome to the Greg Troyan YouTube channel, and welcome to Greg's 14 Adventures, a weekly vlog where I discuss my journey through Final Fantasy XIV as a first-time player. I beat A Realm Reborn back in 2022, and I'm finally finishing up the rest of the game. These vlogs are documenting my journey. If you like these videos and want to support their continued production, the best way to do that is to like the video, share it on a relevant social media site like Reddit, and leave a comment. And don't forget to check out the playlist of previous episodes, linked in the description and pinned comment. Thanks, pal. Hey everybody, it's your buddy Greg. Hope you're having a great day. As mentioned in last week's vlog, I ended up splitting the vlog into two separate parts, just so I could make sure that we don't miss a week of Greg's 14 Adventures. So we are continuing my misadventures of last week in this video. So the plan is to head over to Bardam's Mettle to tame a Yol, and by doing so we can be fully accepted into the Mole tribe, and then participate in the Nadam as members of the Mole tribe to hopefully win against all the other tribes on the Azim Steppe, and help declare Hien the leader of the Azim Steppe, so the Ara of the Azim Steppe will join us in our battle against the Empire. And so it's like, okay, alright, finally, we're done picking up poop, let's continue the story, let's get things moving, but on the way, there's a blue ether current quest, which means I need to stop what I'm doing to get that ether current. And it is a quest about a missing sheep, and basically the sheep herder is like, hey, can you go help get my missing sheep for me? And so even though I haven't played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I am aware of the chicken quest and aware of the ending for that quest. And so I'm like, is this going to be kind of the same thing? Because, again, vegetarian Greg does not like the killing of living creatures. Just not really my vibe. And so this quest involves you finding the missing sheep and, like, shooting it with a dart gun to trank it and then bring it back. And so it's like I have to go and trank this poor little sheep and then bring it back to this guy. And it just, like, kind of hurt my soul to do a little bit, but I really need that ether current. And I thought to myself, okay, maybe the sheep is just going to be used for wool. Even though some of the sheep are used for meat, I'm just going to hope this one is used for wool. And there are a bunch of high-level monsters around this poor little sheep. So maybe I'm actually rescuing the sheep by tranking it and then bringing it back to this guy. And the sheep's going to live a happy, peaceful life and just going to get, like, shaved in the hot season. And then we'll just relax in the sunshine. And then we'll get his wool back during the winter. That's what I'd like to think. That's going to be my headcanon. Don't wreck it for me. But yeah, so after rescuing, and I'm using that term lightly, that sheep, we continue back towards Bardam's Mettle. Along the way, we get assaulted by other tribes. But we make it to Bardam's Mettle, and it's finally time to do another dungeon in Stormblood, which it feels like it's been a while. I think this is only the second dungeon that they've required you to do in Stormblood. I've done the Siren Song Sea, but yeah, I think this is actually only the second dungeon. It feels like I've done more than that because I stopped and did Heaven on High, but yeah, this is only the second dungeon I've done in Stormblood. Oh wait, no, I did Shisui of the Violet Tides. I did that too. Okay, but that was also optional. So yeah, only the second required dungeon in Stormblood. And so, visually, I think it's a very cool dungeon. It kind of gives me like Crash Bandicoot kind of vibes in terms of the look and the feel of the dungeon, which, I'm all about. And so I did the dungeon with a party of NPCs because I try to do it with the NPCs first for the additional story content that you might get. And I was a little bit disappointed that because I'm playing as a DPS, that means Lise won't be joining the party. And said we're just getting like some random unnamed healer from the Mole tribe. So that's definitely disappointing because we do have an actual party of 4, and it would have been nice if they just like made one of them into a different job class for just this one dungeon, but I get it, everyone's gotta, be their very specific canon job class. But yeah, I actually really struggled with this dungeon with the party of NPCs because the mid-boss, Bardam, is basically a puzzle boss, and I did not succeed. Basically, I just kept on losing, and because the mechanics of what you had to do weren't super well explained, I was like, what am I even supposed to do here? What am I missing in this puzzle? And because they're definitely a bit harsher on you when you play with a party of NPCs, we're like, if you mess up, like, you just lose, and you can't be carried by the NPCs. And so I just kept losing on the trial and just could not figure out how to get past this puzzle boss, and ultimately just gave up and left the duty. And that was what I was planning on just ending with this week, was just, all right, well, tried the duty, failed. That's all I have time for. It was very disappointing, but I just had so much stuff with the move-in, so I'm like, all right, well, I guess that's just going to be how things end. It's just, I did the trial, did not succeed, and I'll just have to do it next week. Like, comment, subscribe. But I ended up getting some, like, brief windows where I had time to play later in the day. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something different to end on a higher note. And I saw that Jay on my Discord, who did the Castle in the Sky jumping puzzle that I did the other week, had a new jumping puzzle called Abolish Ice, where you have to go through this jumping puzzle to rescue Moogles from inside ice. And so it is definitely a pun, a play on words with the very popular slogan Abolish Ice, because yes, we should abolish ice. It is an institution that has only been around for like 20 years. Other government agencies could handle its law enforcement operations, and the organization itself is so corrupt that there's basically no reform in it. It just needs to be torn down completely. So the fact that it was called Abolish Ice was appealing to me, and I do like ice-themed stuff in video games. You know me, I love my Moogles. I'm like, okay, this is appealing to me on so many levels. I'm going to try this Abolish Ice puzzle, even though I'm not really good at 14 platforming and haven't really done many platforming puzzles in 14. I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot. And so the first thing I'd noticed when I went into the house was that it had Final Fantasy XI music playing, which, you know me, I'm a big 11 guy, so that immediately made me go, oh yeah, I think I'm going to like what I'm about to experience. The other puzzle, the Castle in the Sky puzzle, felt a bit more like dark and eerie, versus this one, like with the FF11 music and the idea of like you have to rescue some Moogles and just blatant left-wing politics, just, I don't know, just made it more inviting to me than the other one. So I was immediately vibing with it. And what's actually cool is that I just sort of showed up unannounced and just started doing the puzzle, but there was another player attempting the puzzle at the same time as me, and also Jay happened to be there too. And so when I went and did the Castle in the Sky puzzle, I was just doing it by myself and just trying to figure it out. But this one, because there was, the creator of the puzzle and another player trying to get through the puzzle there at the same time, plus the fact that there was like, the music that I liked, and also narrative. Narrative is such a huge thing for me. So the fact that this puzzle had a narrative, a goal of like, oh no, you got to rescue the Moogles, they're stuck in ice. Like, oh man, like the narrative hook made it much more appealing to me than just, try to figure out this puzzle. That extra layer added a lot to it for me. And so I was immediately having fun with it, even though like I sucked at the puzzle and couldn't do it. I was really enjoying it. I liked that Jay was sort of like trying to give us hints and guide us through the puzzle. I thought that was really cool. And, Jay did say that like, hey, this is kind of a hard jumping puzzle. And if you haven't done a jumping puzzle before or haven't done too many of them, you might not be able to do it. And I said, but I have to help the Moogles. And so, I figured that I wasn't able to get through it, but it was fun to at least try. And I really appreciate that Jay was trying to give me hints on how to do it. Like, it wasn't like someone taking satisfaction in somebody failing. It was like, hey, I want you to enjoy this thing that I made. I want you to get better at this. And so I'm going to try to help you out. Like, that was cool. The vibes were very nice. But I guess the other player who was there recommended that I play at a higher frame rate, because playing at 30 FPS, there's like something with the jump mechanics where you won't be able to take advantage of certain hitboxes in such a way. And I normally play at 30 FPS because I am playing on a laptop that isn't super powerful, and I don't want to overheat, so that's why I don't play on 60 FPS. But I decided to try 60 FPS for just a little bit and still was not able to make much progress in the jumping puzzle. But I did at least get to like, the first couple jumps, as opposed to the the other puzzle where I couldn't even find the first jump. But yeah, I ended up accidentally falling into a pit, and I guess that took me to farther in the puzzle than I was supposed to be. And so Jay was like, Greg, how did you glitch here? You're not supposed to be here. How did this happen? Like, I don't know. I just ended up here. And so that was pretty funny. But then when trying to do that section of the puzzle, I wasn't able to get through it. Ended up falling into another endless pit of despair and had to give up. But it was a lot of fun. And, in my head canon, the Moogles get rescued and everything is great. And I just really appreciate the time and effort put into it. I like the theming. I like the story. Even though there's not much story, there is still story. I think that's very creative. I think that's very cool. And yeah, I liked it a lot. Despite me completely failing and sucking at this challenge, I still thought it was really cool. I'm glad that it exists, and I recommend you give it a try. It's really cool. And of course, #Abolish Ice. But yeah, that was what I thought would be my entire playthrough for the week. But again, I had like a little bit of time where I could do just a little bit more playing than I thought I could. And so I'm like, you know what? It would be really nice to just finish Bardam's Mettle and play it with a party of other players and just not leave that dungeon, lingering for the next couple weeks. And so I hopped on over to Exodus and did the dungeon with a party of other players using the Duty Finder. I once again struggled on the puzzle boss. I was just really having difficulty with mechanics. Just when I'm starting to feel better about myself as a 14 player, I realized I still have a long way to go. I was basically grateful for the other characters for carrying me through that section. I did try really hard to do it properly and ask them beforehand, hey, what are we supposed to do? And they're just like, dodge. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, Piccolo. But yeah, even trying my best, I still ended up failing a good chunk of that. But luckily, when you have a party of other players, one person messing up doesn't wreck it for everybody else. So I was grateful to be playing with other people. But yeah, this was one of the rare dungeons where I did not get a player commendation at the end. Usually I get player commendations almost every time I do a dungeon. But they were not impressed with newbie Lito. They're just like, this guy's not very good. But I tried, man. And usually when other players can recognize that I'm trying, I'll get a player commendation, but did not get one this time. But yeah, as far as other interesting things with the dungeon, something that surprised me that I thought was really awesome was seeing Guardians. I had no idea that they were in Final Fantasy XIV, but to see them here was a real treat. I love how much of Final Fantasy XI is in Final Fantasy XIV, and so seeing Guardians show up unexpectedly was really cool. I wonder what the lore of Guardians in the world of Final Fantasy XIV is, and I don't know which side quest will even give me that information, but it was really awesome to see them. And the good news is, if I'm wondering about lore, I know that Radle Girl will tell me in the comments what the deal with the Guardians in Final Fantasy XIV are. So, Radle Girl, I look forward to you telling me what's going on with the Guardians, because I am definitely curious. But yeah, we got through the dungeon, we were able to tame a Yol, which means we've got a brand new mount. And because we've tamed the Yol, that means we're able to officially join the Mole Tribe and participate in the Nadam. And so I'm excited to see what kind of melee crazy tournament that is, to see the outcome of that, and to gather an Ara army to take down the Empire. But things in Stormblood are never quite as they seem. So maybe this entire tournament isn't going to go well. Maybe Grinwat and Yotsuyu are going to show up and cause some chaos. And then the tournament's take a left turn. Because, Stormblood has been very good at setting up what you think you're going to do and then turn it on its head. So I wonder if there's going to be another pull the rug out from under you section coming up where you think, oh, we're about to do this tournament and build up the army. I wonder if something else is going to cause the story to go off the rails in an unexpected direction. I've been intentionally avoiding spoilers for my 14 vlogs, where ordinarily I don't mind spoilers for stories, but to make it more interesting for the audience at home, I have not been looking up spoilers. I've been actively avoiding spoilers. Again, ordinarily I don't mind them, but for the sake of making these more interesting for the viewers at home, I'm resisting looking at spoilers. But I wonder, is it going to be a normal tournament, or is there going to be some weird X factor that throws things in a different direction? I will have to find out the next time I play Final Fantasy XIV, which will be hopefully sooner rather than later. I'm just hoping to get all this moving done and relax and enjoy some Final Fantasy XIV, have another playdate with my buddy Summoner Jobin, and continuing the MSQ, because I'm looking at the quest list and I'm getting closer and closer to the end of Stormblood. And man, I'm just loving it, and I want to get to that ending and resolve this conflict with Doma and Alamigo. I'm just excited to see where things go. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week for a normal vlog. Be sure to do the liking, commenting, subscribing, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.